All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is David from Breathe Your Truth, and this is this session number 5 of Qi
Yeah.
Gong, is brought to you by DCF Wellness Team. So take it away, David.
Thank you, DCF Wellness Team. Yeah, so this is session 5 of 8. So we're just as of today past the midpoint. And instead of me sitting here talking about it, tell you what, let's do it. So come to a comfortable standing position. In full transparency, today is one of those days where I have come to the practice at 800 miles an hour. In other words, I had some stuff that went right up until this point, found myself rushing into here. And what I like about that is I get a chance to talk about that. So usually I have a little bit more time. I prep time. I'm kind of calm, relaxed, centered before I start. But today is one of those days where many of us find ourselves. So I'm going to take just a little bit of extra time to help myself land. For those of you who came into it at 800 miles an hour, this is also for you. For those of you who didn't, but occasionally find yourself doing that, this is a chance to practice that, to remember it. So let's come to a place where the hands are resting just below the navel. You can just fold your hands right over the top of themselves. And then what we're going to do is actually meet us where our nervous system is, which is a little bit amped up. Now, this may just be for example, or it might be your story. To do that, I want you to rock forward onto your toes. We usually have our weight even between the heels and the balls of the feet. Today, let's be just a bit more onto the toes. But in that, and what I mean by that is the balls of the feet, the toes are still spread wide, but have a sense of contact, of a little bit of gripping, not white nailing it. So take a look at your toes if you don't have your socks or shoes on. And just see that your nail beds are still a nice pink color. But there is a sense of them being engaged. The heel is just barely touching the floor. And what you'll feel is this actually puts you resting into your muscle system a little bit. In the world of traditional Chinese medicine, this also means we engage the meridians a little bit more. And think of it this way, it's a way to give your nervous system a little bit of a hug, to meet it right where it's at. It's still a little bit amped up. So we're going to lean into that just a little bit amped up, see it, and then connect to the breath. Now, eventually we're going to move back onto the heels, but right now, before we do that, meet your breath where it is. That might be as high as your collarbones. It might be middle chest. It could be solar plexus. It could be lower abdomen already, just because we've had a little bit of time to let stuff start to settle. And if you can't feel exactly where it is, don't worry. Just open your nervous system up to having that ability to see that. And now feeling the weight into the balls of the feet, start to feel what it is to shift back a bit. And so now your weight is even between the heels and the balls of the feet. And then just let that register with your nervous system. And from here, let's connect a little bit more to the breath. The hands float up, and with the breath in, we open the chest. And with the breath out, the index finger and thumb meet, and feel yourself rock into your heels now mostly. And then with the breath in, allow yourself to rock mostly onto the balls of your feet. So we're just going to massage this weight shift, letting it just send a hug to the nervous system. So a breath in, the chest opens, and a breath out, the index finger and thumb meet, and the weight shifts back to the heels. Now this is a shift that to the outside world would look very minimal, if anything at all. Somebody from the outside may not even be able to see it, but internally it's pretty significant. So play that game of letting it seem and the outside world pretty subtle. But with your attention, with your awareness, you realize it's a big shift. That is the nature of Qi Gong, this idea of playing with energy, of playing with attention, playing with intention. Let me be a little transparent about what the intention of the practice is today. As I thought about it, rolling in at 800 miles an hour, I thought, today is going to be a great day to convert the compost of fall time, which are feelings like sadness, grief, depression, into their counterparts, inspiration and courage. And so the practice today is boldly going to go towards inspiration and courage. And we're going to use some purging. We're going to use some energetic practices to magnify the ground that we've laid so far. And with this breath out, just let your hands float towards the earth. Let's take this first moment to check in. Let's check in with the weight again into the balls of the feet. We're going to do primarily an activating practice today, which means we're going to play with movements. We're going to play with the breath in a way that activates the system with that intention towards courage and inspiration. The Wuji stance, the palms face towards the earth, the knees are soft, the weight is mostly into the balls of the feet, yet the toes are spread and engaged. The tailbone drops towards the earth, the crown of the head lifts skyward. The shoulder blades circle up and then just rest on the back of the rib cage. There's a sense of ease to the shoulder blades. We're not pressing them down, they're not lifting up. The chest is open, but then we do something magic with it. The phrase is contain the chest. And really what that is a softening. So allow the sternum to drop towards your pelvis about 1 millimeter. It's an energetic shift that relaxes the muscles in the back and in the chest. It's sort of the quintessential yin-yang. So the chest being open, you could say, is the yang part, the bold, the outward going. And at the same time, there's a sense of softness to it, of yielding. And that is the practice, is to let those two experiences dance together. All right, let's play with the breath. We're going to use spinal cord breathing to open up even more. With a breath in, we open the chest, and with a breath out, we curve forward, helping the breath out. Help it out, help it out, help it out. Good. Breath in to open the chest. And let's bias the breath out. So out, 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 out. Keep breathing out, out. Squeeze it all the way out. Hold at the end of that. And then take a breath in. Being a little bolder with this practice. Big breath in, big breath out. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Hold at the end. Acknowledge that stillness at the end of the breath out, and then breathe in again. And a breath out. If you'd like, breathe out through your mouth for a couple of these. So a breath in through the nose, and a breath out through the mouth. Hold at the end. And one more big one. And a breath out. Hold. And now take a moment to come back to Wuji stance, just where we're checking in. Again, the weight is mostly onto the balls of the feet. The tailbone drops, the crown of the head lifts skyward, the shoulder blades are comfortable. The chest is soft. And you'll likely notice a slightly different quality of energy after having done that big breathing. Some of you will feel a bit dizzy with it. Some of you will feel a bit euphoric with that dizziness. And now we're going to do the same spinal cord breathing, but this time we're going to dial it back with the breath. The movement is going to look the same, but the amount of air we move is going to be much less. Not terrorizingly less, comfortably less. So let's try that. Same big movement to open the chest, but the volume of air that we bring in is low. And then we're going to help the breath out the same way. Keep breathing out, 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 out. Pause at the end of that. And then again, a subtle breath in, same big movement, just a low volume of breath. And then help the breath out. Keep breathing out, keep breathing out. Pause. And then one more. Subtle breath in. Low volume breath out. That's elongated a bit. And then we're going to hold in that stillness. Release that and come back to Wuji stance again. And now the hope is, as we touch base for the third time, we have yet a different experience. This one usually comes with a sense of a stronger footprint. The first time we did spinal cord breathing, we used the breath to help open up the lungs, get the diaphragm moving. And then in the second version, we took the energy created from that and let it just go inward. And in that, it lets us settle a little deeper. We're going to oscillate between those two practices a couple times today, where we go big and then we go quiet. Go big, go quiet. Nice. Right now, let's purge a bit. Let's shake before we do that. So mostly onto the balls of the feet. Just knock the heels into the ground. Breath in through the nose and a breath out through the mouth with the heart sound. That's an HA sound. That's the natural sigh. Breath in. One more. Just a bit of a clearing. It is a type of purging too. Let's do a little more directed purging now. We take a breath in, the palms face skyward, come right up to the level of the shoulders, and with a breath out, we release. One hand swings in front, the other swings in back. Breath in, breath out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And give a little extra attention to the ease that can live between the shoulder blades. So the chest, the space between the shoulder blades is relaxed as we let that rotation happen. Great. And come back to center. We're going to use an activity now, a third purging. We first did shaking, then we did this twist and turn. And now we're going to do an activity called drop the post. It's a very dramatic purging activity. The reason we do this, especially in the fall time, is along with sadness, grief, loss, we tend to breathe in a bunch and don't breathe out as well. And so these activities let us really practice the breathing out part, set the stage. So here's how this goes. We're going to take a breath in, palms face towards each other. We rise up onto the toes. We come right to the thinking mind center, the upper dantian. And then with a forceful, completely released breath out, we drop the post. So it goes a breath, a mindful, slow, intentional breath in, lighting up the sympathetic nervous system, and then we blow it off. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in, lifting the post. Two more. Last one. And then check in again. Now, in terms of the autonomic nervous system, that practice lights up your sympathetic nervous system, which we often associate as a stress response, but it really isn't just that. It is very much a get to the party part of our nervous system. It's an exciting part of life, and when we do it skillfully, it's great. Great. Let's release that now. Let's build up a little carbon dioxide intentionally. The reason we do that is it helps with oxygen delivery. So moves like a river. You've been practicing this one. You can start off just letting the hands rest on the legs or holding them down low and get the movement. Hips lead, upper body follows. Feeling that opening in the side body. The weight shifts back a bit, so we're solidly into the heels. That helps the activity be friendly to our knees. It's also going to give you a little bit more side opening. And then as you're ready, arms come up overhead. Controlling the volume, deciding how much you hinge forward, how low you go. The breath is steady in and out through the nose. And then let's meet in the center, hang forward. Release the top of the head towards the earth. The chin tucks just a little. The knees are soft. And we say hello to those lines of tension up the back of the legs. Then stacking one hand on top of the other. Roll up, bring the arms up overhead, come into a slight back bend, and release. Point one foot out. The other heel drops back. Hands come to the center, and with a breath out, we come into a lunge position. A breath in, we come back to center. So we're building up a bit of heart energy right now. You can feel that in the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet. Breath in as we come to the center and straighten that front leg. A breath out as we lunge and flow. Breath in and a breath out. Now hold this position, and we're just going to build a bit of integrity. Start with the feet. So see if on both feet you can feel the weight even between the heels and the balls of the feet. The toes are relaxed. The tailbone drops towards the earth. The crown of the head lifts skyward. The palms have a sense of lightness to them, as though they're being supported by two lion heads. The chin is tucked. The gaze carries intention over the front hand. Courage. Breath in, come to center, straighten that front leg. Turn that foot in, turn the other foot out. And with a breath out, lunge and flow. A breath into the center. Incidentally, the breath on this is on the subtle side. The risk is when we pay attention to the breath, we tend to magnify it. Knowing that, especially encourage yourself to let the breath volume be subtle. We are intentionally, skillfully meaning to build up CO2 because it helps with oxygen delivery in the body. And release. Let's hold this position now. If that concept is new to you, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Check out my book, Breathwork Exposed. If you look up over my shoulder that way, you'll see my book sitting there. A little shameless plug. That's especially mean to do to you as we're holding this position, I know. We'll put it in the category of courage and inspiration. Palms are light, floating on top of two lion heads. The toes are relaxed. The weight is even between the heels and the balls of the feet. The tailbone sinks towards the earth, the chin is tucked. And come back. Step the feet in. Let's shake again. We're right back to the heart sound, so a breath in through the nose, and a glorious release through the mouth. For the most part, breathing should be in and out through the nose, but there are times we take this strategic practice and breathe out through the mouth. We do that usually when we're purging. And now just check in again. We're going to do another round of shaking, and this time we're going to stay in nose breathing. We're going to significantly drop the volume of breath. The rate will be the same. And what you'll notice is it allows your attention to go a little bit deeper. So not meant to be restrictive or uncomfortable, but let the shift be significant. So let's start the shaking and try that subtle breath in, that subtle breath out. No sound this time, in and out through the nose. And notice how, in comparison, that first one we did, breathing out through the mouth, brought your attention to the surface. And this now lets you go a bit deeper. It is probably what was meant by the first person who said, take a deep breath. It wasn't necessarily a big breath. It was a breath deep in the body. That's the nourishing breath. And release the shaking. So we've arrived at the moment that I wanted to get to with you. We're going to do an activity called dry crying. It's an activating activity. It's a bit strenuous physically and emotionally. I know I've got your attention now, don't I? It's intriguing. It's going to be that place where we dig deep and we walk away with courage. Let me show you the architecture of the position we're going to hold. Index finger and thumb come together. We close the lung and the large intestine meridian. The hands come behind the back and the chest lifts. And the invitation here is to come into a back bend that is significant enough that it interrupts your breathing. Something that you still feel stable and safe in, but a position that doesn't let you breathe in and out comfortably. And so we come into that position, we do an easy breath in and an extended breath out. Breath in, feel the kidneys inflate, and with a breath out, and we want that little bit of a shaky feeling as we breathe out. We're going to extend the breath out a bit. We're going to wallow in that shakiness. That's what helps liberate the feelings that we want. So that's the hard part of it. That's the dry crying position. Let's step into it methodically. So we're going to draw earth energy up into the lungs. Feel the lungs light up, and with a breath out, release that. And then take a breath in, bring the hands back to that dry cry position. Pick the sternum up towards the ceiling and release 3 times. Breath out, a breath in, breath in. One more. And back to center. Check in. And then pull up earth energy. Earth energy into the lungs, light the lungs up. And then release any of that tension, stagnation in the lungs. Take a breath in, come back to our dry cry position. Pick the sternum up, come into that back bend. You feel comfortable and stable, safe in, but challenged. Breath in and out through the mouth this round. And release. Back to our check-in position. If you feel like you've had enough, you can just stay in this position. If you'd like to do one more round with me, let's do that. A breath in, a gentle expression of earth energy into the lungs. A breath out, release that. A breath in, come to our dry cry position. 3 breath cycles, open mouth. And back. Check in. So that position moves us into a place of turning on the sympathetic nervous system in a way that actually allows it to settle even more than if we had not. And now let's just do this simple breath practice. We won't do the dry cry part, but let's draw up earth energy in to the lungs. Feel the lungs light up with bright white energy, and then release stale gray energy. Then draw that energy back into the lungs, and then release it towards the earth. Earth energy into the lungs. Release. Draw the energy back in towards the earth. Let's do 2 more rounds of this. If it isn't natural, if you haven't automatically gone to a very subtle breath volume, this is the time. It is actually what your body wants to do. So even the movement is relatively large. The volume of air we move now is incredibly quiet. Keeping in mind that progress doesn't actually come from the work we do, it comes from the recovery after the work. And so that recovery time is sacred. Let's do one more. And release. Step the feet in and just let the hands rest over the lower abdomen, right where we started. And feel your ability to root extend way beyond your footprint into the floor. And as you feel that extension towards the earth center, allow the upper body to simply rock and sway. That can be a very subtle, gentle rock and sway, or you may feel something that actually moves you a bit more. You can let go of any shoulds around it, just see what feels right. But recognize that that ability to move, that freedom in the upper body comes from having a sense of being very rooted. And maybe right now you can recognize that boost you have towards inspiration and courage. Ironically, right as a fighter jet is flying overhead. And release. I want to give you just a little bit of information of where we're going next. We've got 3 sessions after this. We're going to continue to play in the fall element, but I am going to start to weave in some little nuggets of what is winter. because I want you to have some momentum going into winter. So we'll start to do some activities that boost up kidney energy or the water element. They're kind of nice flowing inward movements. All right, nice job today. That was a big one today. Dry crying. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday.